or as it's known by its acronym, GMP. We will focus especially on good hygiene practices. What are good hygiene practices? These consist of procedures that we must follow to prevent product contamination. Something we should know is that good hygiene practices are regulations established by the government. What are the objectives of this training? 1. To learn what regulations of good hygiene practices are. 2. How to implement good hygiene practices. 3. Consequences of not following these regulations. What are microorganisms? Microorganisms are organisms that cannot be seen with the naked eye. There are two main reasons to avoid introducing microorganisms into the product. 1. As mentioned, some microorganisms can cause illness or even death in consumers. 2. Microorganisms shorten the shelf life of the product. When we see a bag of salad or fruit spoiled before the expiration date, this is due to microorganisms. Among the microorganisms are bacteria. Let's see some information about bacteria in order to know a little bit more about them. Today, we will learn about bacteria. What are bacteria? Have you ever seen bacteria? I doubt it, because they are microorganisms, and you would need a microscope to see them. Do you want to learn everything about bacteria? Let's do it. Bacteria are living beings, which means that they need nutrients. They grow. And they reproduce. How are bacteria transmitted? Did you know that bacteria exist all throughout our bodies, including, for example, in the intestines, the mouth, and on the skin? Many bacteria help us stay healthy. However, other bad bacteria are pathogens that cause sickness. Bacteria are transmitted by water, air, or through sneezes and coughs. In this way, they can go from one living being to another. That is why it is advisable to cover our mouths with our inner forearms to cough or sneeze. This helps avoid bacteria getting on our hands. Bacteria can also be transmitted through contact with objects and food. Because of this, it is especially important to practice good hygiene habits, like hand washing and teeth brushing. What do bacteria do? Bacteria can be harmful because they can cause disease, and some are decomposer bacteria that can cause some foods to go bad or get spoiled. This has been all about bacteria. We hope the information you received will help you. Let's talk about the three types of contamination. First, biological contamination. Biological contamination occurs when agents have come into contact with the product. Biological contaminating agents include microorganisms, parasites, insects, rodents, and viruses. We must keep the doors closed to avoid intrusion of rodents or insects to the production facility. Rodents and insects bring with them, among other things, microorganisms. Cell phones are also considered as a contamination agent. Think about it. When do we clean and sanitize our cell phones? Probably never. Second, physical contamination. Physical contamination occurs when materials such as glass, wood, plastic, metal, and organic remains are found in products. These contaminants are foreign bodies found in food other than what is supposed to be consumed. We have mentioned glass as it is forbidden to use anything made of that material to avoid the contamination of broken glass. And third, chemical contamination. Chemical contamination occurs when materials such as herbicides, pesticides, cleaning products, and lubricants are found. These chemicals become contaminating agents if used in the wrong way, so we must follow the manufacturer's instructions when using these chemicals. Allergens. Allergens are products that could cause harm or even death to consumers who are intolerant to them. Among the products considered, allergens are milk, nuts, eggs, fish, wheat, and soya. For this reason, we should not use tools on non-allergenic products which were previously used on allergens. So when this happens, this is considered cross-contamination. Cross-contamination. It refers to the action of moving microorganisms from a contaminated area to an uncontaminated area. This could contaminate the product. Later, we will give some examples of cross-contamination. Color code. The color code is a way to classify tools and utensils, identifying them with different colors. This helps us to locate which area they belong to and to know their function. These include brooms and brushes, among other things. A white brush could be used exclusively to scrub the areas where the product has had direct contact with, such as conveyor belts. The trash cans, usually gray, could be used to deposit products that fall on the ground. The black broom could be used to scrub the floor. Each processing facility has its own color code. When must we wash our hands? Before entering the production area, after using the bathroom, after breaks, after lunch, after touching your face or hair, after cleaning or wiping your nose, after touching garbage or waste, when your gloves tear apart or get dirty. Consequences of not washing our hands. Not washing our hands or washing them inappropriately causes contamination of the product, which is 1. Harmful to the health of consumers, and 2. Detrimental to the shelf life of the product. Here we have two images of an experiment carried out with the objective of seeing the consequences of not washing our hands. Image 1. The person washed their hands using soap and water. We can see that the bread was not affected by microorganisms. In the second image, where the hands were not washed, we can see how microorganisms have deteriorated the shelf life of the product. This shows us how important hand washing is. These next images are interesting because they include what would happen if we just used sanitizer without first washing our hands with soap and water. In the first image, as we already know, we can see the product deteriorated due to microorganisms when we did not wash our hands. In the next image, we see how sanitizer does not work if we do not wash our hands with soap and water first. In the last image, we see again how soap and water are the perfect combination to prevent contamination of the product. Correct hand washing procedure. First, we wet our hands. Then apply soap. Then scrub for 20 seconds. Then rinse. And finally dry our hands. Important note: do not dilute soap. In the third step, when we rub or scrub our hands, we should not wet the hands again because it alters the chemical composition of soap and does not deliver the result we want, which is to destroy microorganisms. We scrub our hands for 20 seconds and then rinse. Remember, scrub for 20 seconds. Next, we have a demonstration of the correct steps. First, with soapy hands, we rub our palms against each other. Then, we rub palm to palm with the fingers interlocked. Next, we rub the palm against the back of the other hand with fingers interlocked. Then we rub the thumbs. Next, we rub the back of our fingers. At last, we rub the fingertips. After this, we rinse our hands with large amounts of water. Immediately after rinsing, we dry our hands with paper towels. And finally, we dispose of the paper towels accordingly. With these movements, we cover every part of our hands. The order in which the movements are applied is not relevant. The most important part is to scrub for 20 seconds, covering all the parts of our hands. Protective equipment designed to prevent contamination of food.